Well, today what we're going to look at is my Monstera plant. A Monstera deliciosa is what this one is. I have shown it before on a couple of my tours, but this particular plant is getting bigger and bigger, and I'm finding it harder and harder to water this thing. I have it in a very large planter, so it's got a lot of soil. I have even added some, I think this one was pothos, just a regular golden pothos that I stuck in there just to kind of cover the surface and add a little more foliage in it. But I have a little problem with it being watered thoroughly. Now, these type plants, your indoor plants, you don't want to overwater and have root rot, but I found these spikes, watering spikes at, I think it was at the Goodwill store for $2.99. There was a set of 6 in there. Now, by experimentation, I had thought that they would work with a water bottle, but those little caps don't fit a water bottle spout, but they do fit one of these liter or liter and a quarter Coca-Cola bottles, probably the Pepsi bottles too. But I really think this may solve my watering problem, because I want to get the water down deep into the roots of the plant, but I'm having trouble with watering it enough for it to soak all the way down. So these little spikes are about 5 inches long, and they are being thrust down into the soil so that the water trickles out low down into the soil. You can see where it's coming out right there and bubbling. The plant was very, very dry when I added this. And so I feel like it's going to do the plant well because it's reaching deep into the soil to get to those deep roots. Because you do want your plant to reach deep down into the soil with its roots toward the water so that it will, get a nice anchoring position. Now, I watered the other side. It even seems to be getting to the pothos, because on this side, that pothos looks a little straggly and limp because I don't think it's getting watered enough. But if you've ever had a cutting of a pothos that you've dug up, you know its roots are very long and reach down into the soil very far. So I think this deep watering method will help me, first of all, not to overwater by keeping and pouring more and more and more into the soil to try to get it to water deeply. The plant looks a little bedraggled. Since then, I have taken a cutting, because you never know with your plants. It's nice to have a cutting so that you can make sure that you'll have an offspring if anything happens to it. Now you can see how the water bubbles are bubbling just lesser and lesser as the soil gets saturated down in there. But I really think these will be useful. Now the moisture meter shows it just barely onto the moist side. And if I put the meter down right near where I'm putting the water spout, then it just barely registers just a bit of a difference. I'll shove it a little farther down into the soil, and I see just a tiny bit of upward movement. But I wouldn't consider this too moist at this present time. So I think this is going to work for me. I do like these watering wands because you can take that bottle to the sink, fill it up, and then just shove it down into the soil, and it works just fine to water. And I would say possibly about every week to 10 days, based on the winter months, I'll need to put a couple of liters in here. Now there's more plants in this room. We're in the midst of painting and getting some work done in the house. So I've really got to rearrange and try to keep things, in a status quo. This is one of my plants that I've rooted the Tradescandia so that I can keep little bits and pieces growing for outdoors. Now this is the side that's already been watered and had a day or so to perk up. That opposite side where I've got the bottle today is where it needs to perk up and look better on the other side. But I think it's working. Now I can put a link down where you could order these if that's something you'd like. I think it'll work best for large floor specimens. This one will probably go back onto the floor after we've rearranged everything. You can see that bottle now has drained completely dry. This is something you can also supposedly use for vacation. You can have your plant well watered, but then for vacation, put that in there and it'll just trickle as the plant needs it. But I have yet to experiment with as the plant needs it yet. I want to see if that works, because I wouldn't want it to trickle down after it's gotten one bottle full and just go ahead and trickle another bottle full without having some kind of drying out period. But I think it's looking pretty good. But thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you watching the video, and stick around. I'll put some more into here that I think you might like. But thanks for coming. Bye-bye.